New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins, just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag, the one you stole from your ex, or your overpriced half a studio apartment, or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar, triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a Vitamin Water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
In Anne Rice's The Vampire Lestat, a legendary vampire rises from the grave and joins a rock and roll band in hopes of reuniting with those he loves. This is not that story. Instead, we get a story about a vampire with a serious case of the Groundhog Days, singing songs that will make you wish you could turn into a bat and fly away. Brace yourself for this brave attempt to see if Rockula is not that bad. Welcome, one and all, to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Hello to all of our listeners in Torreon, Mexico, and around the world. How the heck are you guys doing? All right, so it is unofficially Spooktember here on It's Not That Bad, because for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be going with some, how shall we say, spookier titles. And by spookier, I mean it is horrifying, some of the things we have to watch. This being one of them. We're talking about the vampire comedy musical. Yeah, that's a thing. Rockula. And here to join me, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be here today, 200 years ago, 22 more years after that, and another 22 years after that.
Yeah. So we'll check in around Halloween, make sure you're still kicking it, right?
Several lifetimes over. Yes.
Okay. So let me explain how we came across this film. See, every now and then, I'm one of those guys who, whenever the new month rolls around and, you know, the new movies drop on the streaming services, I'll pop over to the movies recently added section and I'll start scrolling through, not watching anything, just scrolling through to see what's been dropped. And this title shows up, Rockula. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? Oh, it's got Dean Cameron in it. And if you listen to Keep Watch Pass, you know I have waxed nostalgic over and over again about the movie Ski School, which is a movie we're going to have to cover at some point because it's Ski School and Dean Cameron is awesome in it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Dean Cameron as a vampire. Okay, let's see where this takes us. And it took us to a very, very interesting place. So Carrie, when we were talking about doing our little Spooktember here, and I mentioned Rockula, did you regret your life choice at that point?
I was intrigued. I didn't know what to expect, and even watching it, I still didn't know what to expect at certain times. But boy, oh boy, this was fun. It was a fun, wild journey through time, many decades.
All right. So by the way, if you are interested in watching this movie, it is available on Prime Video and Tubi at the time that we are recording this. So You know, if you want to get your Rockula on, you now know how to get your Rockula on. But before we get our Rockula on, it is time to take this movie and trailerize it.
You laughed with him in summer school. You laughed harder at ski school. Now, school's out for this creature of the night. Dean Cameron stars as Ralph, the worst vampire to ever vampire. He's cursed to meet the same girl every 22 years, only to lose her on Halloween when she's killed by a pirate with a rhinestone peg leg wielding a giant ham bone. Now, I'm no witch, but this seems like a very specific, oddly natured curse, most likely made while drunk in a deli while singing sea shanties. Now Ralph has a plan. Start a band to get her attention and get her to live to see November 1st. It didn't say it was a good plan. But standing in their way and blinding them with science is Stanley, a mortuary owner with worse commercials than a discount car dealership. Will Mona see November? Will Ralph break the curse? Will someone tell me how the hell they got Bo Diddley to act like a rapper in this? Behold the majesty of Rockula. Rated PG-13 for Phoebe a Go-Go.
You pretty much summed up the movie right there.
Better than the back of the VHS box that I'm sure that this was on.
So succinctly.
Right? Also, they should never let me write up the write-ups for movies because no one would watch them when we're done with them. All right, let's get into who is in this movie. The movie stars Dean Cameron, Tony Basil, yeah, that Tony Basil, Thomas Dolby, yeah, that Thomas Dolby, Bo Diddley, yes, that Bo Diddley, Tawny Foray, Susan Terrell, Nancy Ferguson, and Rick Zumwalt. It was directed by Luca Bercovici. The movie was actually finished in 1988, but had to be released in 1990 because at the time, Canon Films was in the process of filing for bankruptcy. It only saw apparently a very, very, very limited release, made on a budget of $1.5 million. Now, Box Office Mojo does not have this movie listed. So I had to go to thenumbers.com, and the data there is very, very scarce. But according to thenumbers.com, this film has a domestic box office total of $101,146. Now, it didn't say where those theaters were, but apparently, according to thenumbers.com, it does have some kind of box office take. The reason why we are here, and not just because it is Spookthumba, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, this film, critics are cowards. This film has no tomatometer at all, but it does have a popcorn meter of 49%. At IMDb, it sits at 5.2 stars for a 52% score. Over at Letterboxd, it's 2.8 stars out of 5 for a 56% score. And at the movie database, it has a 48%, which is the first time I have ever seen the movie database have a lower score than everybody else, giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 51.25%. So, filmed in 88, released in 1990, and let me tell you, the 80s vibes in this film are high. So when I tell you, Carrie, that it was only released in 1990, does that part surprise you?
Well, it does. I mean, they shelved it for 2 years. I'm happy that they released it. You know, when you think about it, how many movies get scrapped? They get shelved for whatever reason, and they never see the light of day.
Looking at you, David Zaslav. Sorry, I said the quiet part out loud, but go on.
And I am so happy that this movie made it through somehow.
Somehow. Yeah, this is one of those weird, rare finds that every now and then we'll stumble upon and be like, this movie can't really exist, can it? And then you watch and go, oh my God, it does actually exist. Someone sat down wrote this. By the way, it was actually co-written by the director as well, Luca Bercovici. So yeah, this is one of those clearly a passion project for him. And now all of a sudden we get to talk about it here.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care too. Sephora, good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
So let's get into the breakdown. We start with Dean Cameron, who plays Ralphie the vampire. Your thoughts on him?
Not only does he play Ralphie the vampire, he plays his mirror reflection as well, which are two separate characters. You have to give him props for that.
Yeah, did they ever really explain how that happened?
Well, okay. He's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not supposed to see his mirror image.
Right.
Like his mom, the whole joke of, how do you even put on your lipstick?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it was funny because it was just that.
Yeah.
Vampires aren't supposed to see their reflection, but he did.
But is it really a reflection? Because it is. It's basically like an alter ego of him. It's like half of him is in the mirror and the other half isn't. Now, apparently this is like a side effect of the curse, but they don't actually explain it. He just starts talking to himself in the mirror and he talks back. The mirror talks back. Not to mention, he is horrible at turning into a bat. He is not allergic to garlic, actually cooks it, and can apparently walk out into the sun, even though he said that he was wearing sunscreen. So,
and he turns into like a fuzzy bat troll doll, like almost like elf. I don't know. What was that creature?
That was like your Temu bat right there.
It haunts my dreams since watching this.
That bat had actually like boxer shorts on.
I may never be the same again. It was literally like Elf had, aged poorly and forgotten to shave. I don't know. It was weird. It was just weird.
See, now here's the thing for me for this, right? I am familiar with Dean Cameron because I've watched Summer School, because I love Ski School. So I kind of came into this film expecting wisecracking, like this is very much like the Jeremy Piven in PCU kind of character, right?
Very much.
This is what I was expecting because I'm familiar with Dean Cameron's work. I don't know if I got the mirror version of Ralph. Was very much the Dean Cameron that I expected. That was exactly what it was. The real world version of Ralph, not so much.
But I think that was absolutely perfect. That he was kind of restrained in his main character as Ralph the vampire and had that comedic sidekick, almost like alter ego or invisible best friend in the mirror. Like, it was, I think, absolutely perfect that he played it deadpan because he's trying to woo his longtime love.
Yeah. Every 22 years. Yep.
Yeah. And yet he is just so kind of goofy and sad and like not necessarily the kind of guy you could picture her with.
This feels like the kind of role that you would write for someone like John Cusack in the 80s. John Cusack would be like perfect for this role, at least as far as the more hopeless romantic version of Ralph. Dean Cameron is the perfect version in the mirror realm for Ralph, but it felt like two different characters, and I just wish they had kind of sat and explained it more, because that's the thing. And eventually at the end of the film, spoilers like a mofo, at the end of the film, when he breaks the curse, Mirror Ralph comes into the real world through the mirror.
Okay, but you know what, though? I think the fact that he played it so timidly and not, not the really likable, lovable, funny character that Dean Cameron is kind of known for, right? Because when you think about it, he kind of bumbles into saying that he has a band. And then he has to then create a band and, make it interesting enough and likable enough for this girl to
pay attention,
to woo this girl that he's meant to be with, his soulmate. So, you know what? I liked that he was a different character.
There's a way to write this as far as the two different Ralphs that I think would have made sense, because the resolution at the end didn't make sense. It didn't. So hear me out. Mirror Ralph is very confident and smart and funny and the whole works, right? And real world Ralph is not confident and not self-assured enough to be able to do this, right? And had he broken the curse, which he does, breaks the curse at the end, right? Saves the girl, all good. She sees November 1st. I wish they had passed a mirror and Mirror Ralph wasn't there. Because here's Ralph overcoming his own limitations and intimidations, if you will, and rising to the challenge for the first time in 400 years to break this curse, reclaiming his confidence, the confident Ralph that's in the mirror.
I disagree. I think it's even funnier that his alter ego, or the mirror Ralph, was stuck in the room at the end, and he's like, so how do I get out of here? He like breaks through.
Yeah, but then he busts out an Elvis number out of nowhere.
You're looking for logic.
No,
in something that is
looking
so
for
fun.
reason and purpose, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it kind of does wrap itself nicely in this weird little morality tale, right? How you have to reclaim your confidence in order to rise up and conquer whatever it is that's in front of you. So maybe, I am looking for some weird backwards musical vampire movie morality tale, or at least moral of the story. But it was a bit of a fun gag, whatever, right? But it still doesn't explain this other Ralph that's down in the world, and we're not going to get a Rockula 2, people. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But yeah, it's a character written flaw. And again, it's nothing against Dean Cameron, right? I think if you had put a little bit more reasoning behind the personality split on the opposite side of the mirror, then it would have made more sense, rather than just, well, this will be funny. That's the thing. It looked like it was done because this will be funny. And yeah, Dean Cameron makes it funny because Dean Cameron's a hilarious freaking actor. But yeah, I just wanted a little bit more why to the personality split. Am I asking too much?
I think you are. I think you are definitely overthinking it.
I'm asking too much of a movie called Rockula.
Yeah. For me, it was more like when they slipped from the present moment into the music video, almost dream sequence.
Mm-hmm. Which becomes the music video.
Yeah. Then back to reality. And then it just goes sour from there. And it's like, well, that took a odd turn fast. Like, why?
Well, we've seen this in musicals before where it's like, true love found in a song and then dashed in the next number. Hello, pirate movie.
Right?
Tawny Foray, who played Mona, your thoughts on her?
I liked her. I thought she was awesome. And I was so happy to see them finally together.
Mm-hmm. I had to look because I was not familiar with Tawny Foray. I've never seen her before. Didn't know who she was. So I looked at her IMDb and I'm like, okay, 58 episodes of General Hospital. Okay, cool, no problems. She was in the Richard Marx video for the song Angelia. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But she doesn't really get much in the way of acting roles, which is a shame because I actually did like her in this. Like there were some really good facial reactions. Her what the hell look at Bat version of Ralphie is priceless. I enjoyed some of her acting in this. I enjoyed her looks of disbelief at some of the things that were going, and there was a lot going on in this film, but some of the looks of the disbelief, and she's got a decent singing voice too.
I also love how she was so accepting and kind to Ralph's mom, even though she was a little out there. She was a little odd. And yet I get that she's, a kind person, but why on earth she's still hanging out with her ex-boyfriend that, we later find is not a good guy at all.
No, well, he's also a little on the cray side, but
Doesn't she see it coming? I mean, come on,
Yeah. But I think that's why I like Mona, is that they painted her as a good person, right? Because if you're going to paint this story of someone who is fated to meet someone every 22 years, right? This Groundhog Day of love, right? Love, and then losing your love and then having to wait 22 years, right? Like it's this, I love the Groundhog Day aspect of it. I love this, eternal curse of love given and love taken away. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, this is the time. This is the one that's going to break the curse. They made Mona into a likable character. And I think a lot of that has to do with how Tawny Foray portrayed her.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How does she and the ex-boyfriend, the pirate, how do they keep coming back?
No. Stanley isn't the pirate, at least the original pirate. Stanley isn't actually...
Oh, so he just knew the tale.
Well, no. He didn't know the tale. He just knew what Madame Benoit told him to do in order to get Mona back. So here's this mystical psychic, hitting him with a hand fan kind of thing, saying this is how you have to get Mona back. And given what Stanley does for a living, he's probably easily influenced.
So then how is Mona immortal?
This is part of the curse. So the original curse happened because Ralph couldn't save her from being killed by the original pirate with a rhinestone peg leg who killed her with a ham bone, right? So because he couldn't rise to the occasion to save her, then he has to then relive this pain every 22 years.
I get that it's his curse,
but
how is she immortal and coming back?
She's not immortal. She's just living the same life over and over again. So 22 years prior, it was obviously I guess it would have been in the 60s, so a different Mona then, and then in the 40s, and then in the 20s, and then the 1900s. So you see how this cycle would. So Ralph has to live with all of this Mona just gets basically rebooted every 22 years.
Yet when she first met him, there was something so similar that she was attracted to.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know why you seem so familiar, right? It's kind of like a deja vu thing. Meanwhile, he's known every single Mona every 22 years. She gets rebooted.
Yeah, I get the whole rebooted thing, but even when he had the box of pictures of her, hundreds of years
But this was the
prior.
proof, because she couldn't believe that he was a vampire who was 400 years old and couldn't believe his story about this curse. So he had this box of old pictures of her from past times that he had met her, fallen in love with her, and then lost her on Halloween.
But again, it's her then. It's not a reincarnation. It's
right.
her.
So every time she's reborn, she still looks like her. But you notice how some of them were much older, very faded pictures, right? Done in older styles. So yeah, it's her, but it's her like she doesn't know it, right? This isn't like Doctor Who, where the Doctor gets regenerated, but then remembers all of his previous lifetimes. Mona is reincarnated, but she doesn't remember her past lives, even though he does seem familiar. It's like one of those things where it's like, if you ever watched The Good Place, and every time they were rebooting the android there, the not a person computer kind of thing, and not a computer, she would forget things and then know things all over again until she became like super knowledgeable of everything. But yeah, I guess if you're reincarnated X number of times, eventually something's going to feel familiar about people. But why is it that makes more sense than, hey, there's another Ralphie in the mirror that doesn't act like him? Tony Basil as Phoebe, Ralph's mother. Oh, Tony, she's so fine. She's so fine. She blows my mind. Hey, Phoebe, what do you think?
I liked her. Oh my God. She was over the top wonderful. What a fantastic performance. Like she was like the mom. She was the vampire. She must be ancient then. How is she?
Yeah. So
still around?
She's a vampire. She's immortal. Vampires are immortal.
And true, she's, consecutively finding new victims and new boyfriends and stuff.
New ways to have Mona kill. Because, of course, and again, spoilers like a mofo, so just go and watch the film if we haven't spoiled it enough for you already. So she's afraid of losing Ralphie. And is the one who's setting up Mona to be killed every time.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently. Because apparently pirates with peg legs and ham bones don't necessarily show up in the 1980s. Not that I remember.
You would think at some point after several hundreds of years, she would want her son to move out. Like, he must be the 654th-year-old virgin. Still living at mom's. Like,
oh my God. That is a deeper shade of blue ball than anyone ever needs to know.
Oh no.
That is lack of oxygen blue balls right there. But I mean, this is where we have to talk about the nature of the film, right? Because what is this film? Is it a vampire film? Is it a comedy? Is it a musical? Because if it's a musical, and you could make a very good argument for Rockula being a musical, then some of these rando dance and music numbers make total sense.
It's all of the above, and it is just fun. Just take it for what it is.
But that's the thing. You have to nail down what it is first. Because if you go into this movie thinking, oh, it's a vampire comedy, because those do exist. They are out there. The movie like Once Bitten, vampire comedy. Okay, cool. No worries. Now, you're not getting True Blood out of this. You're not getting The Lost Boys out of this. It's a fun comedy rom. But if you go in not expecting what is in essence a pure musical, because
It's in the title.
No, okay.
Rockula.
Okay, but yes, and he makes a band, and that's fine. But there are moments in this movie that are straight pure musical. And if you're not ready for that,
I would love to see this as a stage play.
see, I could see it as a stage play, but I want to go back earlier in the 80s. Now, there's this film called Streets of Fire, and it stars, I think it's Michael Paré and Rick Moranis and Diane Lane and Willem Dafoe in the most messed up Willem Dafoe role you're going to see from the 80s. But there's an argument about that film of whether it's a musical or not. Streets of Fire is this weird, wonderful film that I don't know if you can pigeonhole into one category, because at times it feels like a musical. At times it feels like it's a 50s film. At times it feels like some weird dystopian sci-fi type movie. Like it's hard to pigeonhole Streets of Fire. I think you need to go into Rockula knowing that this is a musical. You can't just approach this and go, oh, it's a quirky vampire comedy with a bunch of 80s tunes, right? That would be like many 80s films with, like that would be like saying Ferris Bueller, right? There are musical moments in that, but it's not a musical. This, I think you have to recognize it as a musical, because then scenes where Phoebe busts into elaborate, weird, dark, sensual dance numbers in front of Mona and Ralph at dinner, in front of her sparkle suit wearing, bald, gruff date of the week, whatever. Oh, boom, boom. That then makes sense, because in a musical world, yes, people are going to bust into song and dance. So if you don't go into this thinking musical, you're going to be sitting there watching this going, what the am I watching? If it's a musical, you're like, oh, musical time, musical number. Let's get this on. It's all good. I think because a lot of the songs are written for the moments in the script, make it a musical. Very much in the same way as the pirate movie, right? All of a sudden, boom, bust in a song. It makes sense. It's a musical. This is a musical. No question whatsoever. Because if it's not, Phoebe is messed up. Thomas Dolby. Yeah, the guy who sang "She Blinded Me with Science" as Stanley. Who is he fun?
You know what? Okay, so I likened him to the agent in Josie and the Pussycats.
Wyatt Earp, yes.
Yeah.
Not Wyatt Earp, but Wyatt Frame.
Wyatt.
Mega Records.
He, I don't know if it's because of his proper British accent or the fact that you just know when you see him that he's up to no good. He's a scoundrel and a rogue. And my God, was he fun.
See, that's not the reference I was seeing when I saw him, especially near the end, right? When he's really obsessed with trying to win back Mona. Do you remember in UHF, the classic Weird Al Yankovic movie, and there was that weird guy with like the frizzed out hair and the lab coat who was working at the cable station?
Okay, yeah.
That was what I was thinking immediately when I saw Thomas Dolby as Stanley in this.
My God, movies were so unhinged in the 80s, 90s.
I know.
And I freaking love it. I am here for it. And I almost wish that I saw this movie younger. You know,
I
wish
see that.
I
Yeah.
wish I had that nostalgic memory of this movie. You know, like the One Crazy Summer and the PCU, and for you, Ski School.
Yeah, Ski School, the pirate movie.
Right. But I never even knew this existed until you found it, you know, flipping through the channels one night. So,
see, all those times I'm sitting there mindlessly scrolling through various screens on like Prime and Disney and Tubi. You're welcome.
right? It's research.
Yeah.
Research time.
So now I have a reason to ignore you when you're like, just pick something already and hit play.
True story.
Right now, there are people listening to this going, I feel seen and attacked at the same time.
But you know what? For the record, I am so happy you found this movie.
It was so quirky fun. I mean, yes, does Thomas Dolby, by the very nature of himself in real life, does he fall into that the British guy is the evil guy trope? A little bit, but he leans into it in this weird, wonderful way where he runs a mortuary and he's doing these really bad commercials for different types of coffins for his mortuary. Like, it's so out there, and those moments are fun as hell. Now, do I understand why they used him singing this song called Budapest by Blimp in there? I have no idea. There's a lot in this movie that doesn't make sense. That song is one of them. But I think it adds a little bit of a weird credibility to have people like Tony Basil, famous for, oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey, Mickey. And now everyone is clapping, you're welcome. Thomas Dolby. And then eventually, we're going to get to him later, Bo Diddley.
Mm-hmm.
To have these 80s musical icons. And in Bo Diddley's case, generational music icon. To have them in this film lends it that musical credence, but I think it also helps because Mickey and Blinded Me with Science are these quirky as hell fun 80s kind of one-hit wonder things that are continuously still to this day stuck in our heads. The minute someone pulls out that little clap line from Mickey, you know exactly what the next line is. Like, these songs live on decades past when they were released because they were quirky, because they were unique. This movie, in a word, I think is unique in that I can't think of really anything else out there that fits, that checks all the boxes that Rockula does. So having these kind of superstars in this film, I think does lend it the weight, because unless you know Summer School or Ski School, Dean Cameron might not be on your radar. Tawny Foray probably wasn't on anyone's radar at the time. Tony Basil was. Thomas Dolby was. So was Bo Diddley, who played, and I can't believe his character's name is, Axeman. Kind of fitting for a guitarist. It's Bo Diddley. It's freaking Bo Diddley. I want to get your thoughts on here before I go off.
Oh, no. Well, I love his line where he was like, it was just so perfect. And it was, man, he's got the blues. And I'm like, yes.
That is the cheesiest freaking line in the whole film.
I love it. I'm totally here for it.
I have no problem with Bo Diddley being in this. But for the record, you have Bo Diddley in this. Could you not do more with him? And by more, I mean way less dressing him like a rapper during the Rapula number. And yes, that's a thing. Bo Diddley as a rapper. You're welcome. Welcome. We're on the Tubi right now. You're welcome. They don't do enough with Bo Diddley. He's legendary. How they got him in here, I got no idea. And they give him this like, hey, that man's got the blues. Tell me more, Bo.
To be honest, I didn't even, when I was watching it, I didn't even realize that it was Bo Diddley until you had mentioned at the end.
Oh my God, that's iconic look.
I know, but because he's such a background character, right? He's literally, guy on stage playing blues guitar. Like,
yeah,
I think you're absolutely right that they should have used him more front and center.
Right.
And he should have been a more pivotal part, or, at least a character that had more
than one line
involvement. However, I mean, it's fantastic, right? It's almost like he he doesn't need to be front and center. He's Bo frickin' Diddley. And I love that he's a part of this. And he looked like he was having so much fun with the rap. Like, come on. He got to like have this like windbreaker suit, like Run DMC.
Pimped Bo Diddley.
They pimped him out.
They pimped him the out is what they did.
Love it.
I don't know if he did, but still. But that's the thing. Thomas Dolby, main character, makes sense. Tony Basil, Phoebe, makes sense. And then randomly, here's Bo Diddley as Axeman. Come on. I would rather, I think, have seen Bo Diddley as the bartender. Then it would have made sense. Then you give Bo Diddley some more lines. But instead, you had Susan Tyrrell, who played Chuck, the bartender, who helped him put together the band and became the source of all exposition dumps. Your thoughts on her?
I thought she was great. I liked how she started to put, it all together, right? But it was kind of almost like best friends talking, like, oh, you're sad, but this is, it's going to be okay.
You're sad, but
yeah, but you've been here before.
But that's the thing, right? Like,
so go and get her.
We get these opening scenes, and you're sitting there. And it's like, okay, what the hell is going on? Yada, Mopey, Dean Cameron, and then he gets to the bar, and then there's Chuck, the bartender, and she's basically doing this back and forth kind of exposition dump, basically telling us the whole story of the curse. I'm like,
she's a narrator.
She is. But the thing is, you didn't necessarily need that character had you put Bo Diddley in as the bartender and then made him be the exposition dump. And then it's one of those things where it's like, oh, cool, there's Bo Diddley in a musical movie. Why not? Right? We didn't need Chuck in there. Although I guess if you're going to make a band, you have to make it with the people in the bar. And they had 4 people in the bar, so that worked out well. But I guess the thing is, sometimes, yes, you do need a character there to help explain things. So it's not, Ralphie breaking the fourth wall, looking at the audience, going, "All right, so let me explain where we're at," right? Because then it'd be a little too Ferris Bueller, but it just literally seemed like, all right, let's bring it down a little bit. Drop all the exposition in one scene. Back and forth with rando drunk guy at the bar. You could have narrowed that down, I think.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original. Which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
One more character that I want to get into with this. Rick Zimwait, who played Boom Boom. Which is even funnier, because I'm watching him and I'm like, why does he look so familiar? Because he's got a very unique look. Why does he look so familiar.
Is he a wrestler?
Let me put it this way. There's a movie from Sylvester Stallone's filmography, and it qualifies. Somewhere down the road, we may have to cover it. And that movie is Over the Top. He is Bull Hurley. This is the guy, the arm wrestling champion that Stallone has to beat at the end in order to win the competition and get the money he needs so he can get his son. And yeah, he's that guy. Because I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this going, what the hell? Why do I know this person? Why? Over the Top. It's Bull Hurley. And that just makes it even funnier because here he is dancing along while playing the record for me to do like this weird out of the blue, strangely sensual at the wrong time kind of dance number while he's wearing a sparkly, ballerina top. I'm like, this is going off the rails, but I'm kind of here for it because Rickson Waite he clearly doesn't take the moment too seriously. He has fun with it. He's such a big, gruff guy that it just works so well in this weird, messed up section of the movie that you're sitting there going, what the going on?
And yet I love how Mona was just so accepting about everything that's going on around her.
Yeah, that's the thing. They made Mona so likable because you need to make Mona likable, right? Otherwise, why would Ralphie be agonizing every 22 years over this? They made Mona so likable that it made sense. I get it. We need to talk about the soundtrack for this movie because there's some songs in here. There's some songs. Like, clearly, the songs and the lyrics were written for moments in the movie. Like the By My Side song, which, this is where all of a sudden, like, they're looking for each other around all the hobo fires that happen to be outside of Mona's apartment. And 3 strange children show up out of nowhere to guide them to each other, which, yeah, I'm not drunk. This is what I actually saw when watching the film. It's kind of campy. It's kind of shticky, right? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that First Love kind of vibe from the Pirate movie. And then you get the Rockula song and the Rapula song. But then you get like the weird Elvis thing goes on at the end. And for some weird, I don't know why. You've heard of B movies. This feels like a B musical. And I think the only other B musical that I can think of that even comes close to some of the level of weird that goes on in this is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I would even put Repo the Genetic Opera in there.
See, the thing with Repo is that it's not camp. It's not fun. It's not a comedy. Rocky Horror Picture Show is a fun romp.
It is true.
Right? So I mentioned this. And by the way, maybe the music is more akin to the Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Very much. But Little Shop of Horrors also came from a stage play. So that kind of makes sense. Did you know that there's a Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel, though?
Mm-hmm.
Called Shock Treatment. So I'm sure the music kind of lines up a little bit more with that. But one of the most fun things about the Rocky Horror Picture Show is that if you go see it in a review theater, there's all the audience interaction that comes from the crowd watching this. So I'm going to ask you, and the same thing happens with Repo the Genetic Opera. You get those shadow casts. I think it's the group Addicted to the Knife down in LA that does those. Can you ever see a day where Rockula becomes one of those films that gets played every now and then in a review theater and becomes this weird, quirky cult hit? Or is this just one of those weird late 80s, 1990 released films that's a fever dream unto itself, but kind of fun?
I fear, because we found it much by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So I fear that the truth of it is that it's gone by the wayside. But I am hopeful that maybe this podcast brings new light and attention and makes it so, makes it happen. I want to manifest this into reality because I would love to see this as a musical, a stage play, or a review, shadowcast performance. And especially, why not? Like leading up to Halloween, why not?
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are moments in this film where you kind of shake your head, but it's not that it's bad. It's just that it's goofy. And there's nothing wrong with goofy. It's not like they set it to be campy, right? It's a goofy, fun romp. Go into it, though, knowing that this is a musical. Don't go in just think it's a comedy with a bunch of songs. No, it's a musical. And if you accept it as a musical, then it makes more sense, even though there's some things I kind of wish were kind of rewritten a little bit, but nothing crazy. Like, it's a fun romp. And the fact that there's no tomatometer on this film, even though it is, by release date, 35 years old. Oy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think...
What if I said no?
No, move on. Okay. Denied. Do you think it's because of the actors? Do you think if this movie had maybe a John Cusack or I want to say Julia Roberts because I know that she was hot at the time. Mm-hmm. But if the characters were notable, like really recognizable, I'm talking, not that, Dean Cameron's not notable. He is. But do you think if there were A-list actors that this movie would have had more attention and maybe had a different outcome? Because this is a freaking fun movie, but I think and I fear that it kind of got lost in the dust somehow.
Yeah. I mean, people will remember Dean Cameron from Summer School if they've seen the film, but it is by the very nature a Mark Harmon and Kirstie Alley film. And that's fine, right? And it is a fun as hell film. And by the way, it does qualify for the podcast. And I would absolutely watch this for the podcast. Ski School. I mean, the reason I know Ski School is because my group of friends and I, like back in the day, watched this film and could not get enough of it because it was just so goofy fun. It's literally like Police Academy on a ski hill.
But I could see this being, if I had known about it, I could very much see this being a movie of my childhood, much like Rocky Horror Picture Show or Little Shop of Horrors.
But in fairness, okay, Rocky Horror Picture, like if you just take the movie The Rocky Horror Picture Show and the story behind it, it's not a great film. It's the soundtrack that sells the Rocky Horror Picture Show because that is one hell of an iconic score and song listing for that movie.
It's also the actors, though.
Well, yes, Tim Curry
and
Susan Sarandon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Meatloaf
for a hot minute, but yes, Tawny Foray at the time was kind of a bit of an unknown, right? Dean Cameron has been in things, but it's not like top. It's not like John Cusack kind of level. You're right. I mean, Tony Basil and Thomas Dolby, okay, they're kind of one-hit wonders, right, as far as their music careers go, but they are one-hit wonders. And even though Tony Basil does have other acting credits in very notable films, it's not enough to get it out there. The other thing, too, is that Canon Films was going bankrupt at the time. And I think this is what really sank it, is because there's no money to promote it because they have no money, period. So this film gets squeaked out with no fanfare, no promotion, no theater run. And I don't even remember seeing any trailers for this back in the day on VHSs and DVDs. Like this was one of those from the shadows looks Rockula. No.
This would be, remember when we used to do our Blockbuster 5 movies for $10 or
seven
whatever?
movies for 7 days.
Yeah. But what I wanted to say is that you drew attention to the music.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you have completely glossed over the absolute quintessential animated opening of this movie.
Fair.
This was a sign of the times.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
From the moment when I saw the opening, I'm like, oh, movies don't do this enough anymore.
No.
With like the animation and almost like the chalk drawings of the credits and the cast. And it was so much fun. It brought me back to kind of made me think of 4 Rooms.
I can see that.
When they did the animated opening.
I can see that. I don't think the songs are strong enough to get it to Rocky Horror Picture level status, but that's a high bar to hit given the iconicness of those songs. And, right now, everyone now has Time Warp in their head or Deeper Cut, science fiction double feature. None of these songs stand out on their own. They're kind of goofy, sometimes kind of schmaltzy, sometimes completely to left field. But as a whole, if you're looking for a bit of an 80s vibe with some quirky, goofy, just fun moments, like, this is not a bad film. It's not a great film, but it's not a bad film. And it's a fun lark. Like one of those ones where you're like, what's on? The hell is Rockula? Hit play. Because you know what? I guarantee you there's not much out there like it. So at least you're in for something unique.
I love that you mentioned that too. It's that Hollywood seems to follow a formulaic, set course.
There are only 33 stories in the world, yes.
But this movie is so unique.
It's unique, but it is still, a boy tries to, save the day kind of thing to get the girl.
Yet it stands alone.
It definitely stands alone, that's for sure. But yeah, if you're looking for a goofy, fun, Halloween-esque kind of film, why not? Take a chance. And if you don't mind some 80s synth cheese, you're in for it. It's all good. All right. So we've come to the end of our show. So I'm not going to make you sing it because I don't want to sing it. No one needs to hear me sing it. Who is your MVP of Rockula?
I got to go Dean Cameron and his alter ego in the man in the mirror.
Mirror Ralphie. I like that. Yeah, that's the kind of Dean Cameron you're going to get at a summer school and at a ski school. Dean Cameron is exactly what I wanted. At least Mirror Dean Cameron was exactly what I wanted at a Dean Cameron. But it was the unknown for me that wins the day. Tawny Foray is my MVP because I watch her in this and I am surprised that she wasn't in more after this. Like, yeah, okay, stint on General Hospital. Sure, cool, all good, right? How she wasn't in more, I don't understand. Because she is delightful in this. Good comedic reactions. Tawny Foray for the win. Although that being said, Thomas Dolby gets honorable mention for being completely and utterly batshit insane in all the fun ways. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there's a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or so bad that there is no way in a 22-year Groundhog Day that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, drop us a line after you've watched the film and tell us what your favorite song was from this movie. I'm curious to hear your responses. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.